Ladies and gentlemen, tonight is a big night. Our precious baby boy, Ronald Jones, has a new home.
Ronald Jones will get Mecole. Jones gets by. Ronald Jones may go all the way. Being chased from behind. Does Jones have enough? Still on his feet. Ronald Jones, 98-yard touchdown.
Pat, do you remember where you were when Ronald Jones signed with the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, I do, and it's tough when you're in the content biz and you write an article about Tony Pollard, and then 2 days later the whole thing's irrelevant. You know, guys undraftable now.
I mean, if you don't have any RoJo content up on Legendary Upside, let's do this right away, Pat, because you've been pushing this bullshit CEH thing on ADP chasing. CEH or Ronald Jones as your last round pick?
I mean, Ronald Jones now.
Okay, thank you. I was about to boot you from the show if you said
I mean, come on, Dallas Cowboys. They're going to be running their offense as boring and old school as possible. I mean, you get Ronald Jones just slamming it between the tackles when they should be passing. It's going to be great.
I mean, he's we were hoping for it with the Chiefs last year. It never happened, but he's might actually get the Zeke role from last year. They didn't want to give Pollard. Remember that Harditz tweet of the length of the touchdowns and all of Zeke's were 1 and 2 yards and Pollard's third shortest was 10 yards. He didn't get anything inside 10. Ronald Jones might actually get all these short touchdowns now.
And the Cowboys had to be one of the only teams in the entire league that carried only 2 running backs on game days for most days. It was always just Zeke, Pollard, nothing else too. I mean, if RoJo's just the new Zeke, I mean, you'll really be cooking there.
I mean, it's kind of crazy. I feel underexposed, to be honest. I'm like, oh no, I'm having a Ronald Jones for the first time ever.
I mean, I just love that there has to be some people that are are we really doing Ronald Jones again?
Like this?
Is this
these real
really
people? Yeah.
A bit again? And I'm in again personally. I'm gonna do this again all year.
Yeah. It was funny because I've been fired because I decided I wanted to max the big board on Underdog and I was way behind pace. So I'm in an ungodly amount of slow drafts. And today I had the 20th pick and I'm doing the scroll down kind of thing with my last pick. And I'm just scrolling oh, there's Ronald Jones. Click. He's still pretty buried in the applet right now.
I need to start drafting him. It's
last round in half PPR.
20 rounds too. I mean,
you have to believe he sucks, which some people do, and that's
many people do. Many people believe that.
Many people.
He does.
Some of them work in the Tampa Bay and Kansas City organizations, unfortunately.
What's gonna happen? I know.
Not
they're gonna probably draft somebody to Did we get contract details on that? I didn't see it. If we did, how much?
I haven't seen it yet.
It's not going to be big, and then they're going to probably draft a potential big back as well, and then RoJo's going to be in competition with the new Isaiah Pacheco, day 3 big back.
Yeah,
and probably lose again. And
there's a million better prospects than Isaiah Pacheco in this running back class as well. There's so many.
Ronald Jones is younger than most. Yeah,
Legendary RoJo, Pat. That actually would have been a much better name for your.
It would have been better, yeah.
So we have about a month.
Daily RoJo. Daily RoJo's that brand. I'll spin something up under the Legendary Upside umbrella.
We got about a month until the Cowboys draft that running back that we can hammer as much RoJo as possible and pretend like it's not just chasing bad money, throwing good money after bad.
Well, no, then the narrative just switches, and then it's just Ronald Jones 1 injury away from being
one injury away from a 2-down roll behind Tony Pollard.
Yeah.
Malik Davis.
I can't believe we're here again. If there's one thing you can't accuse ship chasing of doing, it's not playing the hits. We will always play the hits around here, unless it's Sky Moore, in which case I begrudgingly.
No, I'm still drafting Sky Moore.
Yeah, things are getting good.
Juju's gone, dude. Juju's gone.
Yeah, I mean,
Mecole just signed with the Jets.
Where were you guys at on that Juju and Jacoby swap that ended up being very similar numbers wise?
I mean, it's hilarious. The Patriots. I mean, it wasn't that similar, right? Because it wasn't a bunch of incentives for Juju that'll never hit. So, I mean, obviously you want the Jacoby side of that, I think.
Yeah. My question is, do you think it's possible if he doesn't throw that lateral against the Raiders? Do you think he resigns to the Patriots?
Yes.
You think he was in that big of a doghouse from that play. I hadn't even
Yeah.
considered
I
that.
think that's a pretty boneheaded play, and I think Belichick cares a lot about football IQ, and I think that tips the scales for him in this situation, honestly.
He was their number one
Wow.
receiver. He didn't sign that big a deal with the Raiders, so yeah, it hurt him.
I love how like these players, I don't even think that's that absurd of a take, but it's crazy that these players in the New England organization can't make like one mistake without being banished to the shadow realm. And then Bill Belichick can just make the most egregious drafting mistakes that set their organization back years, make the most egregious overspends in free agency. There's no consequences for Bill fucking Belichick.
I'm glad you mentioned the overspends, because the drafting we've like kind of realized, but their free agency moves over the last couple of years have been horrendous.
Oh,
Nelson
yeah.
Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, who then they decided they're never going to use.
Yeah, I kept chasing Jonnu for the same reason. If they're going to pay Jonnu that contract at some point, okay, now Josh McDaniels is gone. Okay, at some point they're going to use Jonnu. That was my thing last offseason. They never used him, and then
They never had a plan for Jonnu. Why did they sign him?
They gave him
made
a
no
ton
sense.
of money. Yeah,
And now they got Gesicki. Gesicki's going to run like 40% of the routes. It's going to be
who
useless.
the hell knows?
Yeah, that they were like the Bears heading into this year, 2 years ago into free agency, right? Where they just had all that money and they just backed up the Brinks truck for what was it, Jonnu, Hunter Henry, and Kendrick Bourne, and they're like, well, we have this money, I guess we have to spend it.
Yeah,
But aren't you supposed to sign guys? Like the way they were doing it, I thought they were like trying to sign guys so then they would get signed later and then they get a comp pick or something. Like
Yeah.
that's
the way
only
that they
thing
do
made
the
sense.
comp pick thing, you have to have, so it's a 4-year rolling, first of all, rolling cash spend or whatever. And so every fourth year they usually need to spend, but then like the other 3 years they let free agents walk and they get on the plus side of the comp pick formula and they rack up a lot of comp picks for those 3 years. And then they once every 4 years spend a ton of money, and then they don't get any comp picks that year because it's all plus minus, guys in, guys out, size of contract. So I do think there's like a method to the madness with the way that they have done things. It's just that offseason, there weren't really that great of free agents or they couldn't attract them. So they're giving a ton of money to guys that they like who are you paying? Kendrick Bourne. You pay Jonnu Smith. I think you could have used him. He's probably a good football player, but then you don't use him. Like, what are you doing? I mean, that was just their year. They had to spend and they weren't going to be in it on the comp pick formula. So they were just throwing money out there for what, I mean, it's more of a multi-year game plan, but it didn't work. You can even go to like, I keep seeing the Chase Claypool for a 2 brought up this offseason as a benchmark. Like I saw it brought up in regards to the Elijah Moore trade. Like, would you rather have the Elijah Moore trade or pay the 34th overall pick straight up for Claypool? And it's like, yeah, obviously you'd rather do the pick swap and get Elijah Moore. Like, that's a better deal.
Yeah.
It feels like.
Yeah.
People are using that as a negative. Mohamed Sanu for a 2 was the first Chase Claypool, right? Like that. Right.
That's what the chat is all remembering now. We
Yeah.
all collectively forgot how egregious that one was.
That's just
My
so
God.
bad.
What do you think the odds are? So the Pats have the 14th overall pick. This organization doesn't strike me as someone who's taking like JSN 14th overall, and then their next pick isn't until 46th overall. They're probably going to miss, obviously, like the top.
They
3,
should
4
take
wide
JSN.
receivers. They
JSN
should.
would be kind of amazing for them.
Well, that was going to be my question. I was like, what are the odds that they actually pull the trigger on a wide receiver with their first 2 picks?
How do you think JSN fits with Juju, Pat?
I think Juju sits his ass down.
Yeah, well, they just paid him to be what JSN.
They just paid Jonnu too. I mean, we just got done talking about how they're willing to pay guys and nothing happens. I think
Yeah.
Juju would get toasted by JSN.
Yeah, no,
Honestly,
I agree.
that's what happened.
But I don't think they'll draft him. So you were saying
Maybe
it's
they
good for
wouldn't.
them. I thought you were thinking of some way they could coexist, but I see.
No,
what
I
you're
just
saying.
think Juju would not be.
Yeah.
I mean, he would play, but I think my thing with JSN is I don't think he's like an Amon-Ra. I think he's going to be able to play enough on the outside to where he's never leaving the field.
Yeah.
Or very quickly he's going to get to that in his rookie year. So that's my view anyway. And so I think Juju would play, but he wouldn't see, nearly as many snaps as he would have because JSN will probably be in the slot in 3 wide receiver sets. It's kind of like Jacoby. Jacoby can play on the outside a bit as well.
The
I think
one
what
that
you're trying
they,
to say, Pat, is like Juju would be playing the same role he did in New England opposite JSN that he did opposite of Sky in Kansas City.
Is that
It took you a while.
Well, he'd be the sky, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Juju's the sky in this case.
Pete, your question about their taking a receiver in their first couple picks, I think the move that they got to make if they're going to make one is Nuke, right? Like that's the one that I've seen floated around a little bit. If they can land the trade for Hopkins, I mean, yeah, if they can get that for a fifth, like
yeah.
Sanu and Nuke for a second and a fifth feels pretty good.
Well, but like, think about this though, because I was talking with my mother-in-law about this, big Patriots fan, that it doesn't seem to make a ton of sense. Like, say they don't go the JSN route or drafting a young wide receiver, and then you trade the fifth for Nuke. Like Nuke and Juju, that feels like moves you do when you're like one or two wide receivers away from being a contender. Like this is still a rebuilding team with Mac Jones that's multiple years away from really contending. Like, what are these guys doing for this team other than like just booing them in the short term?
Yeah, I think the Chiefs should trade for Nuke if the price is a fifth. I mean, come on.
Right.
Yeah, right. That's fair. I think the Patriots are thinking with like a trade like for Nuke or for those things. You're right. They're probably not going to contend, but they need to get in this rookie QB contract. They need to get Mac Jones playing at a higher level. They need to get him more weapons if they can potentially get their passing game to an elevated level. I mean, I think that's why they invested a second in Tyquan Thornton last year. That's why they've invested all this money in the passing game. But like they don't have good players. And maybe Mac Jones not a good player either. It's just not.
Mac Jones is okay, I think. I mean,
yeah,
he looked pretty good as a rookie, and then he was popping in the number. Like, okay, this he's never gonna be like a super high ceiling guy. But they didn't have an offensive coordinator last year. They had Matt Patricia. I mean, I think any other coach would have been fired. Like, and I'm talking about Bill Belichick. You had Matt Patricia as your offensive coordinator and a second-year quarterback. It's like malpractice. It's completely malpractice.
Yeah, but
now he actually has an offensive coordinator.
You're right that any other coach should be fired. But when you win 6 Super Bowls or whatever it is, like you could be like, I know better. Yeah.
I'm not calling for him to be fired, but I'm just saying it was the type of move that gets basically any other coach fired. Yeah. It was so egregious.
It was so obviously ridiculous. I mean, just brain dead.
Well, the other thing too, like if you're looking around, I mean, I think you can make the argument that they have the toughest division in football if the Jets get Rodgers. The Jets with Rodgers, that defense, the Dolphins are going to be jacked up again next year, provided Tua stays healthy. And then obviously the Bills. I mean, that is a really tough division to get out of.
I agree. I mean, it seems tougher than the AFC West even.
Yeah.
Way tougher than the AFC West now.
Yeah, the AFC West.
I think that's flipped quick. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Chargers maybe are going to be able to bounce back. The Broncos, Peyton looks like he's doing the thing that I was talking about a few weeks back. I don't know if it's on the show or just on Twitter, but like you have to make a decision on Russell Wilson's contract next year because then another $25 million or whatever is guaranteed. It feels like they're punting 2023 and they're going to cut him, so they're not on the hook for 2025.
That's what it feels like to me too.
They're really going to have to punt 2024 as well because they're going to have so much dead money, but they'll be able to start to build stuff with rookie contracts in 2024. But it feels like, Russell Wilson's not their long-term answer. They're not going to be competitive this year, and the Raiders are not looking super competitive this year.
Doesn't it feel like they like brought in Russell Wilson? They're like, he's going to be the guy. And then they were like, to Peyton, it's like, no, you're our guy. What do you want to do? And it feels like he's like, I want to cut Russ after the year.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I want to do.
I don't know if you guys read Matthew's like rumors piece from the Combine, but his source was that Sean Payton was like, he's on a 1-year rental basically to prove it or lose it kind of set up there. So it doesn't seem like he's their guy. Yeah.
Yeah. The 2025 money gets guaranteed for like first 5 days of the 2024 league year. They're already screwed through 2024 with this contract, but there's so much more money in 2025 that gets guaranteed at the end of this year that they got to make a decision on before next year, or else they're 3 more years into Russ, right? Like, so like I think after this year, you actually want to be out on him. So you're not, so 3 years from now, you can have a different quarterback basically, or after 2 more seasons. And if you cut him, obviously you'll have a new quarterback next year, but you'll have all his dead money still there. But the thing that I was talking about with his contract was that they would probably want to look at dealing some of these guys that are still on rookie deals like Jerry Jeudy, or dealing Sutton if they can get anything for him. And we've heard rumors with both those guys.
Yeah.
Start dealing those receivers. Like try to get your draft capital back that you gave up for Russ, so you can bring in a rookie in 2024. Maybe be able to draft a rookie quarterback if you can get a 1 out of Jeudy.
Who do you guys think is more likely to bounce back to the best version of their old selves this year? Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson?
Deshaun Watson, I think, is 2 to 3 times more likely.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a lot, but I think
a
Watson
lot.
is the answer to the question too.
Go on.
Russ is
expand why
way
you're so-
older.
yeah.
Russ is way older. I also think that as far as the Cleveland Browns go, every single person who works in that organization their job is depending on Watson being good this year. They gave him a massive guaranteed contract. Everyone's getting fired if he doesn't play better than last year. So, you see it. They're bringing in Elijah Moore. Like they're going to ensure that he plays better than last year. Whereas, like, I'm not sure that Peyton. I think obviously doesn't want the team to be an embarrassment or anything, but I don't know how committed he is to Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but especially like if you have rumors that Sean Payton is saying Russell Wilson's not our guy, and they're aggressively shopping the weapons that Russell Wilson would certainly need to have any kind of success this season, it sounds like they might just fully punt this year. Then all of a sudden, what if they just put Javonte Williams on ice? Like if he's not completely 100%, why rush him back either? It's like Samaje Perine bell cow year with Russell floundering, tanking, shipping off these picks. It could be a total retool year.
Yeah, Javonte could have the Cam Akers year where it's like kind of slow early on without the off-field stuff, but like kind of slow usage, not necessarily looking great, and them also not pushing him. And then maybe like towards the end of the year, we see a little bit and we get excited for 2024. I'm a little worried about that with Javonte, and I'm a huge fan of his, but I don't think they're going to be competitive enough to really want to push him in 2023.
Yeah, and then you just look at the simple fact that Watson turns 28 in September, Russ turns 35 in November. So, even if you had organizations that were equally committed to these guys, I think and you have Watson took off a year of football and, he's coming back with a new team, doesn't look very good. Russ has had a couple bad years in a row now. So I just think I kind of stand by the 2 to 3 times more likely take.
Speaking of Cleveland, obviously the big news today was the Browns swapping a pick with the Jets. So I believe the Jets now have back-to-back second-round picks. I think some people said it was like the equivalent of a fifth-round pick just in a vacuum for the trade. And Elijah Moore now is headed to Cleveland. Tyler wants to know, what was your knee-jerk reaction to this move, Gretch?
I mean, I don't really have a good knee-jerk one. It's going to be like very cost, conscious for me. I'm willing to be back in on him. He's a really weird case where his rookie year, he was like 24% targets per out run, really good yards per out run, strong player. And then his targets per out run literally cut in half in his second season, right? Runs more routes, 200 more routes in his second year, yards per out run, completely craters. You have to be worried about that, obviously, though the Jets passing game wasn't great. What is he as a player? I don't know if we really know. I think he showed enough as a rookie and he has a really good prospect profile that if you're going longer timeline, which I'm always advocating for, you can kind of throw out 2022 and be like, yeah, I still want to be in on him as a potentially good NFL player long-term. But we also have the concerns about Deshaun Watson you just mentioned. I don't know how well he fits. The best receivers that ever played with Watson were typically outside guys, bigger bodied, Nuke, Will Fuller, speed guy downfield, not really slot guys. Like Kiki Cutie had a couple moments. But I mean, if Watson's playing at a really high level and Elijah Moore's good, he's going to put up numbers. But it could also just be he's not the right fit for Watson, right? He's not the best receiver, even though he's a good slot guy, because Watson, more mobile guys, not necessarily always looking for the shorter ADOT options. More of he's way more of a downfield guy, extend the play, hit it downfield, sort of like Russ in that regard. So anyway, I will take the shots if the cost allows me to with Elijah. I haven't been drafting a ton. I don't know where he's settled, and he just got traded today. So I don't know if you guys even know where he's going to settle, but I'm not going to be going crazy for exposure. There's a lot of moving parts there. It could work out. There's a lot of ways it could not work out.
My take, or I guess not my take, but what I think the market is going to do is actually maybe ding him a bit, because I assumed his ADP was baking in Rodgers, and there were a lot of people. They were kind of Rodgers and Elijah Moore were going in the same round of drafts, and I think people were kind of completing their double stacks with Garrett Wilson with Elijah Moore, and so I kind of think he should or will slide a little bit, and Corey Davis actually gets pushed up a little bit from total obscurity. Would be how I think it plays out in the ADP landscape.
I think Davis is going to get cut, though.
You do?
Yeah, post Mecole Hardman signing, post Alan Lazard signing.
I guess the Mecole part definitely factors.
And Lazard.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Ton of receivers there now.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting take, because I felt like Moore's been too expensive all offseason. His ADP right now is 115. I've not really taken him because everything Ben's saying about just kind of, I don't, we've got 2 years on him, and one of them was a disaster, and also like fell out with his coaches, and seemed like maybe he wasn't going to be even playing. They kind of came back, but I don't know. It was a very, very worrying second year, and to take that with like a 10th round pick for me was a bit pricey, even with the Rodgers addition, because the Rodgers addition is like good for Garrett Wilson, I think. No questions, but is it good for Elijah Moore? Would it have been good for Elijah Moore? Because it clearly wasn't, because they traded him. They got Alan Lazard to come in, so
I like that point. I mean, I think I'm not drafting a ton, so I don't know opportunity cost really well, but I think 10th round pick immediately, I'm like, yeah, that's I'd maybe like to get him in the 11th or the 12th. If it got to a point where I was in a build where I needed another, upside receiver, I do think that this is a wide error bar player where it's like, yeah, this will inject some upside into my build, and it would be worth paying a 10th round price for that regard. It's not a smash in every draft for me at that price.
I will say,
he's going like half a round behind DPJ.
That's what I was just going to say, that is like a total wide receiver dead zone in that range. It's like Darnell Mooney, DPJ. I'm looking at the ADP now. KJ Osborne, Elijah Moore. I kind of like the tier after it better, because you can get Jalen Hyatt, Tyler Boyd. Then you get down to Wan'Dale Robinson, Romeo Dobbs, Alec Pierce, at least some like potential second-year breakout guys.
I feel like you skipped someone there. Second-year breaking guys? Anyone?
I was just naming guys who are actually candidates to be second-year breakouts.
Wow. You have turned so hard against the guy is the sickest fucking name you've ever heard for a wide receiver.
Well,
the ground's the limit for me.
I'm going to fund him into the 15th
every receiver
round
in the ADP tier,
so I can start drafting him again. Does the Mecole Hardman do anything for you guys? Is that
be backing up Randall Cobb in the slot? I think they traded Elijah Moore to make room for Randall Cobb, to be honest with you.
It probably did.
Probably
yeah,
did.
and he doesn't really know.
Yeah,
he could have like an MVS / not nearly what people know of Christian Watson, but like that type of a rotational deep threat role with Rodgers could be valuable. You basically have Lazard in the Lazard role, Garrett Wilson as Devontae Adams, and maybe Mecole Hardman's running these MVS type routes. And you saw Randall Cobb mixing in. Yeah, for best ball, like late round, maybe he hits on a few deep touchdowns. He's got speed.
Yeah, Hardman's 203. Okay, that is enough. I'm in. 203.
Hardman too. I guess you can say he's getting a downgrade at quarterback. And anytime you leave Mahomes, you are. But maybe a little bit of a volume uptick, and just the way he's used to, like, again, hashtag better in best ball. I don't know. I don't mind him where he was going, and he's been extremely cheap all offseason with the uncertainty about his landing spot.
Yeah, in the last couple of years, the Chiefs have been using him a lot more around the line of scrimmage, a lot more jet motion, a lot lower ADOT than his first couple of years. But early on in his career, when he was at the high ADOT, he was really efficient. Yards per target was crazy the first couple of years. This is why we were all in on Hardman at various points as a guy. If his volume could increase, like, he looks like a really efficient player with Mahomes, and then his role sort of changed. But I mean, I think if Rodgers does wind up with the Jets, like, we can talk about the Salah, LaFleur, Shanahan connections and the way their offense might run. I think it's more going to be that Rodgers, being a very strong personality, we've heard all the stuff about the way that he is in meeting rooms and he tells the receivers what to do and everything. that it's more going to be like the Rodgers offense. He's going to be able to dictate to a certain degree. We've seen some veterans be able to do that. Come in, Tom Brady kind of did that with the Bucs, right? Came in, it was his offense. And I think they're going to let Rodgers do what he wants to do.
Well,
and
that's Hackett's whole deal, right? I mean,
yeah,
Hackett seems like he does not seem, for all of his flaws, he does not seem like a hard ass. You know, he's not.
He's going to let Rodgers
do my
do
show.
Right. So if Rodgers wants to take those shots, which a lot of them are like dialed up shots, like, I mean, go back to the very first drop that Christian Watson had, first play of the season. It's like a lot of times they do it as the first play of the game or after a turnover or, first play of the second half or like these shot play moments, Rodgers, I think, is still going to want those kinds of things. He loves to sell the play action and take those bombs. If it's Hardman on the other end running those, and he hasn't done it for a few years, we could actually see some long Hardman touchdowns is the whole point of what I'm saying, which would be nice.
Yeah. All right.
I like it.
Let's hop into draft. Big board, Underdog Fantasy, 81.2% filled. And we are still, what, 5.5 weeks away from the NFL draft? My fucking God. All right.
They're just running around the Underdog office. I've walked by sometimes, and it's crazy, man. It's bedlam in there. We gotta get the next tournament ready.
You want to know why it's bedlam? Because someone took $2 million off the table and didn't put it back into the ecosystem.
Yeah, man, they're really hurting, aren't they? This tournament's full. Like,
did you see what they had me doing? I did a baseball stream. They were like, Pete, we got to get more people on here depositing because $2 million was sucked out of the ecosystem.
I put some back on Anthony Richardson. $100.
I'm still so tilted that you withdrew $2 million and then like deposited $1,000 back. Jeez.
I'm not.
All right. We drew the non-influencer 108. This is definitely friends and family here tonight. We got Vaporware, we got GA, the Achievers, King. Maybe not as friends and family on the back half. We can survive. ETR sub. What a username. ETR sub. Thank you. If you guys haven't signed up on Underdog Fantasy, please sign up with Ship Chasing Viewer, SC Viewer as your username.
You can't stop watching them. We got you. We got you at that point.
All right. So 108 definitely ends up being a sweet spot for these wide receivers. Generally kind of have your pick of AJ Brown or Devontae. Diggs sometimes slides to 1-8. You guys have any leans?
I mean, I like AJ Brown.
I know Ben probably really leaning.
Are we going to play the game where you guys ask me if I like AJ Brown again?
All right, Simpson. What's it going to be? All right, he goes JT. So Kelce normally doesn't fall this far, but I'm still definitely pro AJ Brown if you guys want to.
I'm down with either.
I guess how avalanche do you think it gets?
I would say medium to light avalanche. My only thing, like, let's do AJ Brown. The way I've been kind of thinking about this, and I have a decent, I don't know. I would say I'm slightly underweight Kelce in the big board. My thought is I'm going to load up on him way more in the 18-round contest. I've just really been enjoying using one of my luxury picks in the 20 rounds to get the third tight end builds. And the late 3 tight end builds are just so easy and nice. And you can get all kinds of upside with the rookies and the second-year tight ends that I've been kind of consciously passing Kelce just right now.
Yeah, I haven't drafted a ton of Kelce either. The other thing, in addition to that, which I agree with, is that you can get Kyle Pitts in the 6th. You can get Dallas Goedert in the 6th.
Yeah, there's some
you can
good
get
prices.
Freiermuth in like the 9-10. You can get Dulcich pretty late, 10-11.
Counterpoint is he scored 90 more points than any other tight end in half PPR last year.
If he gives you the season last year, then we're all
which he might. They're out of receivers. We're talking ourselves back into Sky Moore.
And that's why, like, my take on it is I'm not even doing the like, oh, I'm worried about his age getting up there. Yeah, like my take is completely just thinking about my exposure to him over the course of this entire offseason. Like, if we're on the clock in a main event draft, I will be happily ready to smash the button on Travis Kelce. It's just thinking, I think other spots I'll be able to load up more than with this.
He's
tournament
never going to be
structure.
cheap. You're
I like
right.
that.
I mean, you got to kind of pick your spots unless you want to be. I am concerned about the age. At a certain point, he will fall off. But if he doesn't fall off, then he's basically a very good, easy pick in the back half of the first round, or even in the middle or front half of the first round. Frankly, right? Like it's, the only concern is age. Does he suddenly have like lingering injury issues, etc.?
All right, so this is a fun spot. It's another classic ship chasing draft where Austin Eckler is available to us in the second round. I think last time we took Chris Olave here. We could double up on premium Eagles, which I don't necessarily love
We
doing.
can't get hurt.
We're going to get shut out.
Or we
on
could take
Hurts.
Hurts.
Yeah.
I don't mind the Devontae Smith pick. That would be probably my
But we won't
choice.
get hurt.
Or Olave or Hurts.
I'm just going to put Hurts in.
Okay.
I don't know if I love doing. We're not going to get Hurts even if we take Devonta Smith and
No, I know, but
AJ.
if you think about it from like the perspective of, okay, it's week 17 and you've gotten this team through, and you have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, and Hurts goes off. Okay, all I need to do is find a quarterback who scores 25 points, and I'm there because I have the two guys he threw everything to.
It's like the DFS lineups when you double stack a passing game but don't play the QB because you just I mean
That like second round is so expensive, and you can find. I think with a 20-round draft, it's gonna be hard, but you have a chance to find those 25 points at quarterback. If I have two awesome scores at receiver to start my draft, I mean, I'm feeling amazing.
Yeah.
Fair.
Not that I want to use this as the because I do think it becomes like a crutch of being like, well, someone already got this one, but I have now seen multiple screenshots today of people who have now gotten Jalen Hurts in the third round. Not the and I think some people have gotten the AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, and Jalen Hurts. So, and I know I pointed this out on Twitter that this same dynamic is happening with the Jamar Chase and T Higgins stuff, where for a while Joe Burrow's ADP was just like mid third, and one of the Chase or Higgins drafters was always stacking it up with Burrow in the third, and now they're showing more restraint. And I've been getting Burrow in the fourth. I got him in the fifth. Of one draft. And I think we're starting to see it a little bit with all these quarterbacks of just like a little bit more patience right now from drafters.
It's going to happen throughout the offseason. It's always high early. And this year, everyone was excited about taking quarterbacks higher just because they were higher scoring this year. But it's got to slide back.
We do have NFL and political insider Crack Rock in the chat tonight.
You guys want to talk about a heater? This guy's just breaking news left and right. Around the NFL is citing Crack Rock in its news reports now.
That clip was so good.
It's not a bit.
I missed that. That happened?
That happened.
That's great.
That happened. Around the NFL was literally like, Crack Rock says Aaron Rodgers is going to the Jets, and they're kind of laughing, and then they're like, but I think he's right, and I think it's happening.
So I probably normally take Jacobs or Ramondre in this spot. What do you guys want to do?
We could take Hopkins and just hope he goes to the Chiefs or something. Need that receiver.
I think Hopkins is so overpriced right now.
Ridley? I don't know.
I'm fine with Ridley.
I'm good with Ramondre or Jacobs if you want to do that.
Yeah, you can go running back if you want.
All right, let's see what comes back to us wide receiver wise, because I don't know how you guys feel.
Mondre's a good pick there, dude. He's good. Damian Harris
he's
is gone.
good.
Going back to the DeAndre thing, like if DeAndre goes to the Patriots, I mean, he's clearly overpriced here, right? There's only like two spots he can go where he could potentially pay off this tag.
Yeah,
like
but why is
Bills
he
and the
going to go to the
Chiefs.
Patriots? Why would he be down with that?
Well, I don't think he has does he have the no trade clause?
I don't think so, but it's like at this point, I don't know. If you're the Patriots, you're trading for Hopkins when you know he doesn't want to be there.
I don't. Yeah. I feel like all those old guys, like we obviously seen a lot of. They had Tom Brady in it, and they were better. But a lot of the guys liked to go to the Patriots as veterans. There's the whole Patriot way thing. I think, some of the guys have been around the league for a long time, take care of themselves, do a good, like they're professionals. I think they appreciate sort of the Patriot, like going and playing for Bill Belichick, and we're going to take things seriously. I mean, none of those have panned out. The Reggie Waynes and Chad Ochocinco signed there, and none of those guys actually ever did anything with the Patriots. But I feel like, from I'm going to go win a Super Bowl perspective, yeah, it's probably not his best landing spot, but I feel like he might actually want to go there, like appreciate it.
Maybe, yeah. I think he needs to rework his contract, right? So in a sense, that works as a no trade clause because he can say, I won't rework my contract for you.
Yeah.
This
But
is a good point. Nuke and Bill O'Brien have a history, and there's
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's a good history though.
The opposite.
I mean,
Yeah.
but even if he goes to like the nut landing spot, I mean, I
Fourth
don't know.
round, it's a smash in the fourth. If he goes to the nut landing, if he's a chief in the fourth, we're doing fucking cartwheels.
All right. Does this mean I'm gonna have to finally? Did we finally fudded DeAndre Hopkins 5 picks past ADP?
He's good. I mean, he's still good at football. I'm down to take him for sure. He came back. He got a 198 yards per out run last year. I mean, he came back and played at a really high level.
There he goes. You got it. You got him, Pete.
Let's see.
Who are we
What do we
taking?
want to? I mean, I normally take Mike Dubb in this spot, but I'm open for takes on Judy, Watson, any other wide receivers you guys like.
Williams is my preference as well.
Yeah, let's do it. Me too.
What do you guys do? You think, because there was all the talk about Keenan and even Gerald Everett, or I guess I should say Gerald Everett and even Keenan being potential cut candidates. Do you think they get the band back together, draft a wide receiver? Like, how do you think that shakes out?
I think they almost have to draft a wide receiver, but I never bought the Keenan is getting cut stuff because it was all just like
a ton of sense.
it never made any sense. Yeah, like they desperately need more weapons.
It was mostly just people going, this is their cap space, and they don't have a lot of other contracts that save them money, but they just restructured a bunch of people, and then they were like, yeah, fine.
Yeah, exactly. I think the Eckler stuff is a little more concerning because, like, yeah, he's delivered a lot of value, but it's like when the offense isn't working the way they want it to is really when Eckler's shining the most, you know? So I would be surprised if they don't draft somebody. But it's more because they had DeAndre Carter playing extended stretches last year. You know, they're like dependent on Josh Palmer as like a major contributor. Like, you don't want that. You know?
And I think the coordinator change could work really favorably. I mean, I still think Kellen Moore's a good coordinator. I think he's going to be a boost to Justin Herbert and to the entire passing game. And a lot of the stuff that we are excited about with the Chargers last year, we might get like a delayed, post-hype, whatever, dead cat bounce, whatever the heck term it is. But we're getting a little bit cheaper prices this year because last year the Chargers weren't what everybody wanted them to be. But, like, they could very well be that this year with Kellen Moore.
Yep, totally. I've actually done so. I know it's a little expensive with Herbert, but I've done what the team out of the two-hole just did. You go Keenan, you get Herbert. I kind of like my Herbert in the fifth compared to, the Burrow in the third. He's not a totally mobile quarterback, but that breakout that we were hoping for last year could come this year.
Yeah. All right, we're almost on the clock again. I always like this little pocket here: Godwin, Jameson, Williams. Anything else you guys would pound the table for?
I like both those two. Godwin is ridiculously cheap here. Are you kidding me? He was coming off an ACL last year. He wasn't good to start the year, but he was pretty solid the rest of the way. He's still like a really high-end receiver in my mind.
I haven't really touched him because I think the Buccaneers are going to be atrocious. But do you think he gets traded? Because then it would be a smash.
I mean, even if they're bad, like, he can still be a really high level. He's in the middle of his prime, and he's a good player. I guess if the quarterback plays that bad, I hear you. It could be really gross.
I think it's going to be horrific in Tampa Bay. I don't know that he's there, but I mean, Baker Mayfield's their plan A.
Well, Crack Rock is screaming Godwin in the chat. I assume he had lunch with Chiefs owner Clark Hunt, and he winked 3 times when Crack Rock said Godwin. So clearly Godwin to the Chiefs confirmed by Crack Rock.
It has gotten to the point with Crack Rock that in all caps Godwin honestly makes me think he's getting traded. Like, that's all Crack Rock needs to say. And then I'm like, oh, shit.
God.
I need Crack Rock to explain. There's some crazy shit happening. Make sure you know what bank you're at. Like, first of all, I'm pretty sure everybody knows what bank they're at. I know what bank I'm at. It would be a weird thing to not know. Second of all, What is the crazy shit happening? What do I need to know more about?
This is the life that Crack Rock lives, where he lives in a world where he imagines that other people might not even know what bank they have.
Can we also remember the skeletons in the closet, as AJ points out? Last time Crack Rock pounded the table for a wide receiver, it was
God,
Robert
yeah.
Woods over
Oh,
Cooper
wow.
Cup.
Wow.
Yep.
Chad,
Had to bring
out
it
for
back down
blood.
to earth. Now everyone's wondering, what's going on with Godwin? Do I need to be taking more Godwin?
I feel like I do.
Crack Rock, I hope you're the one that breaks the Baker Mayfield versus Kyle Trask scoop. Whoever wins that QB camp battle, I expect to hear it from you first. All right, we got some more wide receivers on the board. If you guys are interested in a Baker Mayfield backdoor double stack with Evans and Godwin, that's available. Marquise Brown, Brandon Ayuk, or we could just get our stack with or
I
double
think
stack
that's what
with
we do.
Hurts and go with Goddard.
That's what I was going to suggest.
What do you think, Gretch?
Goddard is. You're saying Goddard?
Yeah, if we want to get that double
Yeah,
stack.
when we weren't going to get Devontae and we went Hurts, I almost said that earlier. And I guess, probably good not to just blurt that out 4 rounds ago. But you could make the double another direction with Goddard at a nice price.
Yeah.
Feels good.
Yeah.
Pitts is off the board. Hawkinson, Kittle both went in the 5th. Like, Goddard's got to be the last of. I haven't, again, done a ton of drafting. Don't know all the tight ends. But at
That's the last
tight
of the
end
tier.
6 there, he's kind of the last of the tier, right?
I think so. Ingram kind of gets like bumped up as the next guy. I think Ingram's one of the easiest fades in drafts.
Interesting. Yeah, with Ridley there.
Yeah.
And Ingram wasn't great for most of the year. He had a
wasn't
nice late stretch, one huge game that really bumped everything up.
Yep. Super shallow ADOT still getting that like so if you got a crazy low ADOT, you need a lot of targets. Targets are the thing we're most worried about with Ridley coming. I don't understand his ADP.
So
I
to
do
push
because he
you
had the
on-
spike weeks, but
So who are you? Would you take Njoku over him? Would you take Freiermuth over him?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're way lower than market on him.
I'm way lower than market. Like I don't think I'll have Ingram. Like I might not have Ingram.
Ingram
I
had-
don't know that it's going to bury me. I guess it could, but
Ingram had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games with 16 or fewer yards this year. He had 1, 2, 3, including a playoff game with 70 or more yards. Only 3 games with 70 or more. Obviously, one was the 162, 11 catch, 2 touchdown game. It was, a monster game in week 14. And then he came back and had 113 yards in week 16. And then the playoff game. He closed strong, but a lot of really low weeks this year. He didn't hit 70 yards until that week 14 game all season.
Yep.
He wasn't good until that point.
What about someone asking about? Yeah, I mean the other name that goes in that range, Waller. I assume you have Waller ahead of
I'd have Waller
Ingram
too.
Waller's a
we're
good
back
name.
on the clock. DeAndre Swift with a 10-pick slide post Montgomery news. Javonte kicking around. Pacheco. You do have those tight ends.
I love Swift here. 7-8.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Let's have the Swift conversation because
Yeah.
do you guys agree that he should drop? But then the question is how much?
To here, and then I'll draft him. I would love to be drafting Swift in the 7th. I think if he's in the 6th, I'll mix him in occasionally, but I won't love it. In the 7th, I'm not going to be like hammering every draft, but I'll be overweight. In the 8th, I'd be hammering him.
I mean, banged up every year of his career so far, has missed games every year of his career, but he had another 900-yard, 8-touchdown season last year. In a season where Jamal Williams had, 20 rushing TDs. He still had 8. Gets still used some in the red zone. They use him sort of in a different role than the Jamal Williams role, which, I mean, Montgomery, maybe he's going to be a 3-down back. They gave him a big contract. I kind of feel like they're still going to do a 1-2 punch thing. Swift's still going to catch plenty of passes. 46, 62, 48. That's how many catches in each of 3 years. He's never played more than 14 games. It's a lot of catches per game every year. 3.5, 4.8, 3.4 catches per game. Like, he's going to catch – they're still going to use him, right? They're a better offense. They're getting better.
The other thing I think that's sort of sneaky good for Swift is that the Lions are probably locked out of quarterback unless maybe they take Levis, but they're not getting Anthony Richardson now. And that, like, early in the offseason, it was like, maybe Anthony Richardson is a guy they take and pair with Goff, and it makes a lot of sense, You can kind of sit behind Goff for most of the year, but that's not happening now. And having Goff dumping off is so important for a receiving back.
I think he's a great pick in the 7th round, actually. I mean,
it
was a down year last year. It wasn't good, but it could be a big year. I mean, Montgomery could get hurt. This is like we're in handcuff price range here at 7-9, right?
Right. And I was going to say Swift to me right now, and the analogy isn't perfect, feels a little bit like Miles Sanders last year, right? Where it's this guy we liked a lot. He tells us not to draft him. And so he does slide, but we probably overreact too much to that update. What do you guys want to do here? This has turned into an avalanche draft. It's all
I think we have our 3 receivers. It doesn't feel great, but I think we can survive it. Like I can't believe it's saying that. I think I'd go Joe Mixon.
Oh,
I have been taking stabs on Mixon in the 90s. I'm open to other ideas as well. Gretch.
I probably wouldn't be Mixon. I'd probably be Akers over Mixon. But if you want to do Mixon, that's.
I think we did Akers last time. We can do Mixon. Talk about Mixon, Pat, because there's all kind. I assume you're making the play of he doesn't get suspended and he comes back to the Bengals. And you're getting that at pick 89.
Exactly. And I think most importantly, I don't think is done. Like he's not like the best back, but he showed enough last year where it's like, I think he's fine. Like, I think he's kind of got enough in the tank where, I don't know, maybe it's like Zeke 2 years ago, it's not, I don't think he's done yet. I think like Cook, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, those guys are like flashing signs that it might be kind of over. Mixon isn't really flashing those signs. He's flashing the like, I'm like starting to lose work to my teammates. Maybe I'm not the clear-cut lead back, no questions asked guy anymore. But I still think he has enough left in the tank where if he were to land somewhere else, you're not totally dead once you get into the 8th round. So, I think as our RB3 there, it's like not. There's downside, but it's not like crazy low downside.
That was a good case, and I to me that actually sounded even more like last year's Miles Sanders or Josh Jacobs, and like I mean, especially in best ball, like he's going to get work. Even if he got cut, he's going to sign somewhere and get work. Even if it's Todd Gurley with the Falcons, I don't think he's that done. Like to your point, but Todd Gurley went to the Falcons and got work. Somebody's going to pay him some money and let him, get some touches and score some touchdowns, basically.
Yeah. And I think like I have to be, Joe Mixon's such a gross click, but I do think you have to view it through the same lens that I am kind of, YOLOing, Javonte Williams picks. And I know it's different, coming back from that injury versus what Joe Mixon has, but just that idea of in the situations where those concerns evaporate, you're just getting such a massive discount on what they can do for your team that in a fucking $10 contest, that's so top heavy, like you got to be taking stabs on those kind of profiles.
Yeah, and I think like you have to think through like a really disgusting 3rd round pick is a good 8th round pick.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mm-hmm. So we can continue to do. I've been taking Charbonnet a lot in this range. I
like Charbonnet.
I do think
this might be the draft where I would take Elijah Moore. Click on receiver real quick. Is there other?
It's not.
So
great.
we're gonna get a slightly better tier. This was that pocket I was talking about that I think's better than this tier.
Sure.
Why don't we do Charbonnet and then we can start pounding wide receivers.
Yeah, we have to catch up a wide receiver, but I think we can do it. We'll see.
Yeah, and I my guess, Gretch, unless we just ruined it here. My guess is Elijah Moore would be available at 113 anyways.
But I like the way we played that with Mixon because only 3 wide receivers went that entire large half of the board.
Because
it's fine if Moore goes. I think that's a fine pick here. The way that we're building, we're going to take a lot of receiver flyers now, right? And I think we can build intelligently that way.
And the thing is, too, we missed out on the tier break twice. Like for me, after Rashad Bateman goes, like there's a huge tier gap.
Yeah,
once you're down to the Zay Flowers, Jacoby, like that feels.
Well, we lost Brandon Cooks, right? Brandon Cooks was kind of like the guy past that tier. Where did he go?
He went at 77. Yeah.
Yeah, he used to go kind of where we took Charbonnet, and
Sutton's
I
a guy
all the time.
Sutton's a guy. Jacoby. I mean, even Michael Thomas. Like we know those guys can play well.
I've taken
Mhm.
Thomas too because it's so this tier's so thin.
Yeah. Sutton, I think, makes a lot of sense in best ball still. High 8, especially if he got moved. I would be in on him pretty much anywhere he went as a guy who could at least have some splash plays, splash weeks, right?
There goes Elijah.
All right. Let's say I fucking jinx it. I do that. Anytime I say I think a guy's going to make it back, he never makes it back. Why do I do that? The other option here too would be to take, I guess Lance would be the only kind of quarterback that would make sense to take.
That's who was kind of poking out to me. What's the latest? We expecting him to be starting week 1?
It should be starting week 1. Yeah.
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 I
Because
think
then
any other receivers, or we?
I mean, I think we can wait at receiver a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
I think we have to, but we can't wait too many more times.
My next best receiver was well down that list.
If we do Lance, I mean, we're good at running back. We're good at quarterback. I mean, we can just piss the hell out of the back half of this.
Right.
We have to get
good
creative.
If there's some values though at receiver late. This is good. I mean, we haven't done a draft like this in a long time. Yeah.
There's not a ton. And
Cody
even some of the guys I
start.
liked are going to be.
We're gonna have to take some olds. We're gonna have to take some boring olds. I don't even know who yet, but I'm excited to look. Will you go click on receiver and kind of scroll? I want to start getting some thoughts.
Real quick for the audio listeners, our team so far, we backed ourselves into a wide receiver list corner. So we got Jalen Hurts and Trey Lance at quarterback, Ramondre, DeAndre Swift, Joe Mixon, and Zach Chardonnay at running back, AJ Brown, Mike Williams, Chris Godwin at wide receiver, Dallas Goedert at tight end. And here you go, the scroll, Gretch. I do kind of agree with like what Ball is Life is saying in the chat, where he says, I don't think any of these wide receivers on the board right now are that much better than 19th round Darius Slayton. It's ugly. So like if our thesis is this tier is super flat, might as well zig a little bit.
Yep. And you guys know I've been flooding Trey Lance, but if you're going to take him, I think it makes a ton of sense to take him with a guy like Hurts.
Yeah.
I'm excited just to like we never talk about these receivers, so I'm excited to draft this.
True. We're always drafting running backs in this.
We're always so receiver heavy at this point that it's fun to do.
Yeah, and I don't know. I always find some wide receivers in this range. That I talk myself into.
We can definitely talk ourselves into some stuff.
Where are you guys at on Wandale with all the signings and stuff?
I still like him.
I was in don't talk about Wandale mode, but he went right after you said that. I was ready to take him. He would have been when I said my next best is way down the list, he would have been the next best. I thought he was great last year. I mean, we could just add Odell at this point.
I would be Dobbs or Pierce here, but if you guys want to pound the table for Odell, I'll listen to you.
I'm Pierce, I think.
Gretch?
I can get there. I like Dobbs.
Quarterback upgrade, and he's going to play a bunch of snaps on the outside.
Yeah.
I think Hodgins is a fine play there, too. I think Rondell's a fine play there. I think that Shaheed's a fine play there.
Yeah. Well, we're going to end up with two of those anyways.
I think Hodgins, I do worry about snaps there. You know? He wasn't,
I mean, he played well into the playoffs.
He played well, but he's a former 6th-round pick who's on a second team and wasn't part of their plan, so I just get nervous with that.
I mean, that would have been super pattern matching, but it would have been very similar to what we might have said about like Alan Lazard after he got to the Packers and sort of got the chance to play. But like he came with a coach that had coached him in Buffalo. He played well, got his first opportunity, and we liked the profile. That's why I'm making the Lazard comp.
Yeah,
Lazard was a really good producer in college. And I feel like he's got a little bit more of a moat than we think because of those factors. That like he was a producer in college. He produced now in his limited opportunity at the NFL level. And the coach kind of brought him from a previous stop, likes him. I mean, maybe he's not a full-time player, but I think he's going to run routes. He's going to play. If
why don't we get both since we were debating those two?
Sure. Yeah.
Dobbs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Hodgins, but we can definitely take Dobbs.
Oh, who do you prefer, Hodgins to Dobbs?
I guess I'm kind of worried about Dobbs. Let's just take Dobbs because he's a second-year player, and I do like the player. Maybe I'm overreacting to getting a little burnt last year, but he wasn't very good, and they're going to lose Rodgers. And think they probably could still add another receiver again this year. Like Dobbs is the late round pick that didn't produce now, right? The day 3 concern that Pat just said, he doesn't have the NFL. He might just be done. That could be it. Like, that could have been his one shot.
No, don't. This is not how you intro a clip. My God.
Romeo W. Dubs. Romeo Dubs.
2nd and 5. Strong to the end zone. It's caught. It's a touchdown. It's over.
Ball for Dubs, who adjusts. Who's got it?
I'm a young fly stunner, I'm the coldest in the game. And I told him I would do it, so I actually did it. I was trying to get some money, but the fame came with it.
I'd like to take Romeo Dubs so we get a little Minnesota bring
Let's
back
go.
in week 17.
17, I like
go.
it. That's-
They'll take a shot to the end zone. It's caught. It's Dobbs. Play action. Setting up wide open downfield. That is Dobbs.
Throw your dubs up, throw your dubs up.
That's a good clip.
I'm just laughing. That took me back because we like hearing the rationale for selecting him being a bring back to Minnesota week 17 is my only reason for wanting to take him. Oh man.
Yeah, it's a good reason.
It was a good reason. Yeah.
That was a little Minnesota break back. We had Dalvin Cook on that team. Yeah.
We're about 7 weeks away probably from having the NFL schedule early May.
Shit.
Well, that could be my crutch for every single tiebreaker when I'm on the clock.
How much do you think you're going to draft before the schedule release?
Oh, like when BBM drops and we have
Yeah.
that like 10 days.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I mean, it's knowing me, I'll probably, I don't know, 10 or 15 teams probably.
Yeah. I didn't really do any because I was doing the dynasty stuff.
You can still get some wild ADPs those first few days though.
But do you think they'll be that wild with how thirsty the big board was?
Maybe not. Maybe it
with
won't be as it.
Yeah.
But let's just be honest. Like if BBM opens, like it's not like I'm going to be sitting on the sidelines.
We're up. Hit receiver
Yeah.
real quick.
I like Shark and MVS.
Yeah, I'd go Shark, I think.
I'm fine with Shark. I was about to Galaxy Brain a divisional week 17 bring back Eagles Cowboys with Michael Gallup. I like not even joking. I have been breaking ties to divisional stuff in the
I've been breaking ties to divisional stuff too. I felt so ashamed.
Maybe MVS was a better pick there because he's actually on a team.
Yeah, but Shark could sign anywhere, even the Chiefs.
Yeah, I like Pat. Your
That was
entire
like the only
analysis tonight
good
is,
version
what
of
if
that bit
it's on
that
the
I've heard.
Chiefs?
This is the only good use of that bit that I've heard in a long time. Everyone who does that does it terribly, but that was good. That was good.
Oh my god.
He could even be a boat. It's like, no,
That honestly is
it.
that is why I said Shark though. That's why I was
Yeah.
sticking the tongue because I literally had that thought process. Oh, but Shark's a free agent. He could
But
sign
he
anywhere.
can also be better than MVS,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
He's
he
shown us more. There's a skill element here. But MVS already being on the Chiefs is promising.
It's good.
Yeah.
That is nice.
Cody says, do we think Gallup is any better a further year removed from his injury? He has to be, right? And
Yeah.
don't you guys think like Cooks being there should help Gallup, right? As far as just getting him back to his kind of natural spot, because some of his biggest games were back when Amari and Lamb were there, right? He was playing more as the three.
Yeah. One issue with McCarthy, right? Is like, remember he was doing with the Packers. He just had his guy like run their routes. He doesn't scheme anything. He just has like it's like go get open, and Gallup doesn't really get open all that well.
Yeah.
He's just So I don't know. I'm not
So-
that bullish.
I've been taking Tyquan and Thornton in basically every single fucking draft. If I pound the table for one guy here, it's
Let's do
probably
it.
him.
Yeah.
Nico is the guy that would have
Yeah, Nico would have
also
been
liked here, and
interesting.
he just went.
Pete,
Yeah.
you don't pound the table often.
I don't.
I like it.
I do think like, isn't the situation just continually like clearing out for Tyquan, at least from a target perspective too? I mean, his competition for targets is just going to be so low.
Yeah, I like the call. I think any of these guys who like very clearly have jobs, not just jobs, but strong chances of running a full slate of routes. And we're not sure, he's a second-year player. He could be really good. And he has one elite trait. He's got seriously elite speed.
Yeah.
Elite speed. And what always made me raise my eyebrows and kind of like, oh, that's interesting, was when they were really scheming stuff up for him in the red zone last year, where it was almost like Belichick and this organization is like, we got to save some face because we can't have another busted pick here. We are going to feed this guy the ball. And they just might not have an option if they don't use one of those first 2 picks on a wide receiver. I mean, he might just be their de facto number 1. And to get a guy that has that speed, the second-year profile in the 14th, it's just like, I'll keep making that bet there.
I like it. I probably don't have enough of them because I take so much Nico, but that's one I just need to split more going forward, or even go to the tech one side now.
You have on Legendary Upside, you have the piece about why Nico was the big winner of the Cooks trade, right?
I do, and it's free. Go check it out.
All right, we are going to be up here again. I'll go to the whole board, but I assume we're done.
Tight end, something we have to do at some point.
Right.
They're gone, though. I think we wait at this point and grab 2 cheap. Is Marvin Mims still here? Is he?
Yeah, he's.
No, he went.
I know he's a little.
Oh, he went. Oh,
he
you're
just
right.
went. Okay.
Give me a name.
I don't.
Terrace Marshall's got a job.
Yeah.
But he's not gonna. He's gonna lose those snaps.
Maybe.
I mean, he might be a little bit of a DJ Chark little hedge move. We're gonna get some kind of Carolina routes. The concern is if Chark signs there, because they talked about wanting both Thielen and Chark.
Mm-hmm.
Chark's like the last guy available, so my hope is that he is just gonna sit around and wait.
I mean, the weird thing is he only got a 1-year deal last offseason for like what, 8 or 10 mil when
he's coming off like a
was
broken
getting
ankle
paid.
though.
Yeah, but everyone was getting paid and he didn't have a great year. It seems like the league doesn't like him. Like they know something we don't. I still think he's, potentially pretty good, but I mean, does the league view him very different than like Mac Hollins? Because it seems like they don't.
God, I hope they do.
I hope they do. Mac Hollins is a guy we could draft late in this draft. He's like 31.
I've taken Mac Hollins a few times.
Yeah.
This is early for Mims. He's starting to really scoot up.
He's really rising, man. I like Mims a lot. Like if he has legit day 2, like by legit I just mean day 2 draft capital, I kind of like him. I like him more as a 3rd round pick than I like Downs as a 2nd round pick.
I mean, we get to play "This Is Why I'm Hot" all over again.
Yeah, honestly, we should be fully in on Mims just to bring that clip back.
Yeah. Mims
remix.
Yeah, this is pretty gross. I actually don't mind Slayton.
I kind of like Deontay
Slayton.
Hardy down here. Yeah, Slayton's fine.
Oh, I love that call. Let's do that.
Which one? Hardy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's good. They cut Isaiah McKenzie. I think they'll use him.
Fuck.
That's amazing.
There's no way that
Yeah.
he literally.
He was like 40 picks.
No, he's 100%
we
watching.
100% just cost ourselves Deontay Hardy there.
He's the same guy that took one of the other receivers earlier. Who was go to the board for the draft board.
Yeah, I don't know how this guy knows who we want to take every time, but
I know,
he
this
seems
is
to have a lot
bullshit.
on our picks.
Shahid was one.
Okay,
Score.
this is Jason. He's tilting us sniping.
I didn't even spell his name right. Hattie. Laugh. Wait, scroll up a little higher. Where was the?
I don't think he sniped us otherwise.
No.
No.
Oh, it was Nuke. Go up higher.
Oh no,
we
that
were
was
talking about Nuke, and it went right before us in the 4th. We got ourselves in on Nuke, and then he went.
That's not a snipe. That's falling on the landmine for us. We thank him for.
No,
his
come on,
service.
Nuke in the 4th is correct. In this draft, I mean, pretty good value.
We got a crescendo going on Nuke, and then he was on the clock, and the clock was ticking and ticking and ticking, and then he took Nuke late. I was like, God damn it, he's watching the show.
All right, so we have now taken, let's see, wide receivers in 6 straight rounds from round 11 on: Alec Pierce, Romeo Dubs, DJ Chark, Tyquan Thornton, Terrace Marshall, Darius Slayton.
How many
Now
do
at
we
a
have now?
2491.
Hmm.
I'd say we've recovered.
We've definitely attempted to recover. It still feels a little tough. I wish there was like a receiver who I just loved in the 20th. That used to be Hardy, but the word is out.
You know who I've been taking a little bit, and it's gross, especially after I read some stuff that there might be just like a little bit of concern with Rondell Moore's recovery timeline, is Greg Dortch.
Did you read some stuff that Davis wrote? Is that where you read it? He's loves
No, I know
Scroll down a little bit on this list some more.
It gets bad real fast, man.
Matt Collins is in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Jawan Jennings. There's dudes here that are going to run routes.
Oh, we could do Quez. We could do Quez as a stacking partner.
Yeah.
Let's save that though. That's so gross.
We also could just take Visca and just corner the market on the entire Panthers. Yeah.
And not take Stroud. I don't love that. Let's take a running back or a tight end here, and because we probably only need one more receiver, right?
Tight end I like Likely.
Yeah.
I'm into that.
I'm in.
All right. The question is, do we go with a 3 tight end build with Goddard and Likely, or 2?
I think given the player pool, you go 3.
I think we can go 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 1 tight end to finish. So we would have a 2-5-10-3 build.
Yeah. I guess we got such good value on Swift and Mixon that we would be totally fine with 1 more running back.
Yeah, I mean, the chance of the running back hitting in a meaningful way is obviously much greater than our 3rd tight end. So that's why I do think it'd be up for conversation to go 2-6-10-2.
Yeah, I do too.
I'll let you guys figure that out while I look at Underdog ADP wide receivers with no ADPs and try to figure it out.
I think the issue is that we like the best pick in the next round will probably be a tight end.
Yeah.
So we have to decide if we're doing that or if we want to maybe grab Quez. I kind of lean just grab Quez because there's going to be running backs that we're fine with in the 20th and tight ends that we're fine with in the 20th.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at this point, there's no one jumping out at the top of the queue. And I don't mind the whole scroll down philosophy here either. Get someone who's not getting drafted in most of these at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we can do Quez to get our triple stack going here. That gets us to 10 wide receivers, and now we can do 1 more running back. And
is Kenny Golladay a free agent?
Oh,
I mean, until he signs in the XFL, yeah.
This is going to be a 6 spot because it'll be much easier to find a 3rd tight end we like.
Cedric Wilson.
I think we got to move on to.
Oh,
yeah.
I think we're done at wide receiver.
Okay,
yeah.
well, I'm just going to keep reading random receivers the rest of the show.
This is how you go to bed at night, is you just read your girls.
Yeah, Quintus Cephas.
NFL wide receivers.
He's slow, but he had a little bit of juice.
A little bit of juice.
Oh, my. Let's do the same game, but with running backs.
Okay. Ronald Jones.
That's a good one.
Wait, did someone already take him? Nope. But someone will now. Ronald Jones, he's too expensive in the 18th. He's more of a 21st round pick.
I don't know if you can do it.
I think you got to wait until the 21st round.
You got to wait until the 21st for it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a reach.
Jakeem Grant.
I hate this game.
I don't like it at all.
Jakeem Grant.
I hate this game. I hate this game. Andy Isabella's on the Ravens?
I will
Is he
say,
really?
isn't Matt Breida going to be the direct backup to Barkley again?
Probably, but they should draft someone in the super deep running back
Dude.
class.
I would take. Oh, Ronald Jones just won. That's amazing. I would take Gary Brightwell before I would take Matt Breida.
Okay. Are there any
scroll-
rookies?
We'll check tight
interesting
end
rookie
too if
running
we're
backs?
going that route as well. I mean, I'd be okay with Musgrave, or is Laporta gone? I like
If
both those
Laporta's
guys.
gone, this is just an absolute sick draft.
He
pick.
is gone.
Jeez,
And
that's
then let's get Musgrave. He's like kind of the last of that
Isn't
interesting rookie tier.
well,
I
I think Albert O is a good pick at this point, dude.
all right.
I would do Albert. I mean, if you want to take the rookie, take the rookie. But Albert O, and why is Parham? Isn't he back on? Why is he not showing the Chargers? Didn't he
Because they'll
resign?
probably draft somebody. I like Musgrave because like there's a couple really good offenses that need a tight end.
All right. I think Albert
All
O
right.
is still a really good football
And
player.
I think we should have taken 2 running backs, but I'm too tired to fight right now.
Yeah, I don't think a rookie late tight end like these types of rookie tight ends. These are the ones that like you learn that rookie tight ends don't do anything.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean,
Clip that when he's like a good rookie tight end.
last year at the end of the year, because there's a third tight end, right? So you're just hoping for some spike. Any of these picks, you just want playoff spike weeks, and we saw that from Okonkwo, Jelani Woods, Trey McBride, Daniel Bellinger. Now, maybe I'm being a little bit loose with the term spike week there, but like they were in the mix in the final weeks of the season. So,
All right. 3 names.
Can I interest you in Tylan Wallace?
no, we need a running
No.
back.
No. Dearness Johnson is interesting.
He just signed. Where did he just sign?
The Jags.
I kind of like that.
Yeah. And I was going to mention Keontae Ingram, and then he goes here too. This is a sick draft.
Giannis
God
is with
damn it.
the Jaguars.
Yeah,
This is
that
brutal.
happened today.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm actually like not looking forward to the summer.
Let's
right
just take Justice Hill for the 15th straight
No.
year.
Yeah,
God,
I'll just put all of our old favorites in
Yeah.
the queue. Ito and Justice Hill.
Can you scroll back up? To
Yeah,
the
who's
top?
at the
Maybe
top?
there's guys at the top because these sickos draft everyone.
I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Now I know why you were scrolling down.
Zamir White.
Now,
Israel Abanaconda is a dude who I have not really taken any of, but
Oh, he
God
just went.
damn it.
I swear to God,
he
I
has some
got
fans. Some people.
Why is Zamir White undrafted? Is he not just the handcuff again?
Because he's bad.
Are you sure he's bad?
I'm not 100% sure.
I didn't like him
Wow,
last
that's
year,
so
but in the
funny,
20th
dude.
round this year, I mean, he only got 17 carries last year. 5 yards
All
a
right.
carry.
Wow.
Superstar.
pounding the table.
Zamir White goes off the board. Clyde Edwards-Helaire
Yeah, I
goes off the
swear to
board.
God,
These guys
you
are
say a
assholes.
name and they get
Does
selected.
Zamir White just go?
Deuce
Yes.
Vaughn. Yeah.
And CEH.
No, let's do Evan Hull. If he gets draft capital, he could be okay.
All right.
All right.
We have people in the chat
Cool.
yelling Evan Hull. We'll do it.
This is exciting that we got to our first draft where we just drafted 2 rookies that Pat told us to draft that I had never heard of yet. I need to get up to speed on the rookies.
You haven't
But
heard
Musgrave
of
and
Chardonnay?
Hull, I have not heard of
Oh,
yet.
Musgrave. Gotcha.
Musgrave
You've
is
heard of Chardonnay.
let me see what mock draft database has for him because I think he's kind of firmly in that day 2 mix.
While Pat's looking this up, I'll give you the full recap of our 20-round team. Did finish with a 2-5-10-3 build. We got Jalen Hurts and Trey Lance at quarterback, Ramondre, DeAndre Swift, Joe Mixon, Zach Chardonnay, and Evan Hull at running back. AJ Brown, Mike Williams, Chris Godwin, Alec Pierce, Romeo Dubs, DJ Chark, Tyquan Thornton, Terrace Marshall. It just refreshed on me. Where is the rest of this team? Darius Slayton, Quez Watkins at wide receiver. And then our tight ends are Dallas Goddard, Isaiah Likely, and Luke Musgrave.
And Musgrave is 46th in mock draft database, 46th overall. So he's tight end 4 behind Mayer, Kincaid, Washington. Laporta's right after him at 62.
Yeah, this, it was so funny because at the start of this draft, I was like, oh, maybe this won't be super piss boy heavy. But then like rounds 4 through 7, they just flew off the shelves. And guys like, Burks and Pickens and all these guys ended up going like, I don't know, 8 or 9 picks of their ADP at basically every spot. And then we felt that.
We should have got Kevontae Turpin from Dallas on this team.
Malik Davis was available if you want to go with the non-RoJo Dallas guy, wasn't he?
No, Turpin's a receiver.
Turpin was the USFL
receivers.
guy. Yeah. Who also has like a domestic violence issue in his past, I believe.
You know what's interesting about this build is that it's like a hyper fragile build from 2020. You know what I mean? Like not even in terms of like those running backs will be going there, but like these running backs with these profiles would probably be going in like round 5 and 6 in 2020. So I kind of think it's a functional build.
Can I interest you guys in Kadarius Hodge?
Please stop.
This is the worst game.
I don't like this bit.
Ball is life. I absolutely cannot do another draft tonight. I was gonna say though, Pat, to your point, I have felt like there's some weird dynamics that, like, think about when we were taking like Antonio Gibson at the 1-2 turn with kind of like the legendary upside filter. Like you're now getting Ramondre and Tony Pollard as like 3rd round picks. And it feels a little weird to me that the market isn't more excited about those guys who they have the skill set that you want. They also flash. And now the runway has been cleared for both of those guys and the market isn't reacting to that. And then same with these super discounted guys. Like it does feel weird to go through these drafts and have so many running backs feel like values.
It really does. And Breece Hall is another huge part of that. Nick Chubb, I think, is like very reasonably priced. I'm not even drafting a ton of Derrick Henry because of all the other running backs I can draft instead. But in the 3rd round, I think he's fine. Josh Jacobs is probably like slightly underpriced in the 3rd round. At least like maybe we're all just becoming boomers. We're like, oh, these running backs in the 3rd round. Are you kidding me? I love it.
Yeah.
But like it is kind of crazy. I'm just not used to it. I'm doing a lot of wide receiver 1st round, running back, and then I try to hammer wide receiver through those middle rounds so I don't get caught out when wide receiver dries up after like round 6 to 7. I do a lot of that type of build.
I found a 20th round receiver that you should have taken. No, this is real.
This is real.
This is the guy.
I swear to God, I'm ending the show if this is a bit.
Jalen Reagor.